Welcome, dearly beloved anointed ones. Kindness isn't what people think it is. It's not softness, it's not weakness, and it's definitely not free. Most people grow up believing kindness is a personality trait, something you either have or don't, something nice people do. But in reality, kindness operates more like a pressure test. It only reveals its true function when it's placed inside unfair environments, power imbalances, and quiet disrespect. That's when it stops being a virtue and starts becoming evidence. Here's a fact most people never hear. In high-level institutions, from intelligence units to executive selection rooms, emotional regulation under provocation is one of the strongest predictors of long-term authority. Not charisma, not aggression, control. The ability to stay measured while others are busy unraveling. That's why kindness under stress is never ignored. It's logged, it's remembered, and yes, it's compared. Because anyone can be kind when things are smooth. Even a broken clock looks generous on a good day. The real data shows up when someone is overlooked, underestimated, quietly tested, or nudged just enough to see if they'll crack. Most people do. They overreact, they self-sabotage, they start performing their pain like it's a resume. And then there's the rare type who doesn't. You didn't turn cold. You didn't turn loud. You didn't start writing emotional essays in your head that nobody asked for. You stayed human without becoming naive. You stayed respectful without becoming available. You kept your composure while others mistook your calm for ignorance, which, honestly, is one of humanity's favorite mistakes. There's also a strange irony here that deserves a laugh. The same people who assume kindness means easy to control are usually the first to panic when they realize it came with boundaries, memory, and pattern recognition. That's when things get awkward. That's when the room shifts. That's when the tone changes. Because what you thought was kindness was actually capacity. What looked like patience was filtration, and what felt like endurance was you quietly proving you could hold power without spilling it everywhere. This isn't a feel-good story about being nice. It's about a test most people didn't even realize they were failing, while you were passing it without ever raising your voice. Number one, your kindness wasn't moral, it was measurable. From the moment you showed patience under pressure, the elite weren't judging whether you were good or nice. They were tracking quietly and meticulously how you responded when the stakes were unseen, when no one was applauding, and when subtle provocations tested your boundaries. Kindness in comfort is easy. Anyone can smile when everything is going their way. The real insight comes from observing how someone behaves when the world around them is unfair, messy, or unpredictable. That's the environment that exposes character. That's where you revealed something rare. Every interaction became data for them. How did you handle gossip aimed to unsettle you? How did you respond when someone tried to manipulate your generosity? How did you maintain composure when subtle slights were thrown your way? Your actions weren't random. They were patterns, and these patterns told them everything about your internal framework. People often assume kindness is soft, but the truth is that genuine, disciplined kindness is one of the most precise tools for evaluation. It isn't emotional, it's measurable, like a code being decrypted one layer at a time. By not reacting impulsively or defensively, you were demonstrating an ability to process and assess without chaos. That restraint was being logged, compared, and weighted in ways most people will never notice. They could see your capacity to navigate complexity without letting ego or emotion cloud your judgment. In that moment, every act of patience, every carefully restrained response, became proof that you could handle responsibility, influence, and trust in situations most would crumble under. Your kindness wasn't a badge, a personality quirk, or a moral statement. It was a master key, quietly unlocking doors that few even realize exist. The elite recognized it because they know the difference between someone who is merely agreeable and someone who can wield influence without falling into recklessness. Your kindness, measured in real time, became evidence of your reliability, your strategic patience, and your ability to hold power without letting it corrupt you. It was never just about being kind. It was about showing you could endure, adapt, and maintain integrity when the world was testing every ounce of your composure. Number 2, you passed because you didn't weaponize your pain. Pain is one of the most powerful tools humans have, and most people instinctively turn it into a weapon. When hurt, they lash out, manipulate, or demand restitution. They turn their suffering into a performance, showcasing it like a badge that demands attention or sympathy. But you didn't do that. You experienced hurt, betrayal, and subtle disrespect without letting it dictate your actions or cloud your judgment. That restraint isn't weakness. It's rare, and it's exactly what the elite notice. They watch closely to see who transforms pain into control, who uses it to manipulate, and who can hold steady without letting past wounds steer present decisions. Every unprovoked slight, every hidden agenda directed at you was a test. Most people fail because they can't resist the temptation to justify themselves, to retaliate, or to emotionally react. You, on the other hand, held your ground. You absorbed the discomfort without broadcasting it, without performing it, and without letting it bend your character. That quiet control was a signal that you could be trusted in situations where stakes, scrutiny, and consequences are high. The elite understand that someone who weaponizes pain is unreliable. They act unpredictably when triggered, they escalate conflicts unnecessarily, and they introduce chaos where stability is needed. By not succumbing to this, you revealed an inner discipline that is impossible to fake. Your ability to stay composed even when wronged or undermined proved that you could operate above pettiness and emotional volatility. You didn't let personal grievances become a tool or a distraction. Instead, you transformed them into silent knowledge, silently observing, learning, and calculating. Your restraint became proof that your decisions would never be reactive, that your influence would be guided by strategy rather than emotional impulse, that your loyalty and judgment weren't for sale, even when circumstances were uncomfortable. In a world where most people are corrupted by their pain, your capacity to endure without weaponizing it didn't just set you apart. It handed you an invisible master key, signaling to the elite that you were already prepared to operate at a level most only aspire to. Number 3, they expected entitlement. You showed restraint. Most people approach life with a quiet assumption that the world owes them recognition, respect, or reward. It's baked into human nature, especially when effort, intelligence, or talent is obvious. The elite, however, are not impressed by entitlement. They're trained to detect it instantly because entitlement signals immaturity, insecurity, and an inability to handle responsibility without creating friction. What they weren't prepared for was you. You didn't demand, complain, or posture. You moved through situations with a kind of quiet discipline that didn't scream for attention, but instead radiated authority. That restraint, that refusal to claim what wasn't offered, told them more about your character than 1,000 forced displays ever could. Every interaction where you could have insisted, argued, or demanded recognition became a silent demonstration of self-control. You allowed situations to unfold without forcing outcomes, showing that your confidence didn't depend on external validation. Most people fail this test because they conflate value with entitlement. They think the world should acknowledge them because they are talented, smart, or skilled. You didn't. You let your behavior, your decisions, and your calm execution do the talking. That's a language the elite understand instinctively. By resisting the urge to claim more than what was naturally offered, you proved you could operate in systems where power is layered, influence is subtle, and visibility is carefully curated. You weren't seeking shortcuts or leverage through complaints or posturing. Instead, you displayed a rare ability to wait, to observe, and to act strategically when the time was right. That patience wasn't passivity, it was mastery. This restraint transformed ordinary moments into proof of competence. Every withheld demand, every unspoken expectation, and every measured response became a signal that you were capable of handling authority responsibly. You weren't just navigating social or professional environments. You were silently showing that you could maintain integrity, composure, and strategic patience when others around you were losing balance. That combination of self-control and awareness is exactly what separates those who are merely talented from those who are entrusted with true influence. You didn't just survive the test, you passed it with a quiet, undeniable mastery that few ever achieve. Number 4, your empathy didn't dilute your boundaries. Empathy is often misunderstood as soft, pliable, or easily exploited. Most people think that caring about others means bending, giving in, or letting themselves be walked over. But you operated differently. You demonstrated a level of empathy that was precise, intentional, and uncompromising. You could understand, read, and respond to people without surrendering control or losing sight of your limits. That distinction is rare, and it's exactly what the elite notice. Every interaction where someone tried to test your patience or overstep your space became a silent experiment. While others might have blurred the lines, over-explained themselves, or tolerated disrespect out of guilt or fear, you maintained clarity. You could feel what someone was going through, recognize their motivations, and respond appropriately, all without weakening your own position. That ability is more valuable than most people realize because it signals strength, disguised as softness. Strength that is quiet, deliberate, and impossible to manipulate. Empathy without boundaries is dangerous. It makes you vulnerable, reactive, and easily influenced. You avoided that trap entirely. You showed the elite that your understanding of people wasn't emotional indulgence. It was analytical. You weren't just reacting to feelings. You were interpreting patterns, intentions, and behaviors while holding your own space. That balance between compassion and discipline is one of the clearest markers of someone capable of leadership at a high level. By maintaining firm boundaries while showing genuine empathy, you revealed that you could operate in complex environments without being exploited or losing yourself. You became a figure who can connect deeply with others while retaining autonomy and authority. That kind of presence is magnetic, yet untouchable, approachable, yet unbreakable. It's the very trait that transforms kindness into influence. Your empathy wasn't sentimental, it was strategic. It wasn't pliable, it was precise. And it wasn't a weakness. It was the blueprint for trust, respect, and power that the elite recognize immediately. You showed them that it's possible to care and understand without ever giving up control. And that revelation alone handed you an invisible advantage most people spend a lifetime chasing. Number 5, you stayed human while being underestimated. Being underestimated is a strange kind of advantage most people never recognize until it's too late. The elite know it well. They test, they probe, and they observe those they believe are weaker, slower, or less capable. Most people crumble under the weight of underestimation. They either overcompensate with arrogance, lash out with frustration, or become defensive, proving the assumptions correct. You, however, did something remarkable. You stayed grounded, fully human, fully present, without letting the misjudgments of others dictate your behavior. Every slight, every dismissive comment, every quiet doubt directed at you became a mirror, revealing your capacity to endure without distortion. You didn't let others' misperceptions twist your self-image or force you to play a role. You didn't try to prove yourself to anyone or overperform to correct their mistakes. That restraint is rare. It tells the elite something deeper than competence. It signals mastery over self and circumstance. By remaining authentic and composed while others underestimated you, you revealed that your confidence wasn't dependent on acknowledgement. You operated in a space of quiet authority, where actions spoke louder than assumptions. You didn't inflate yourself to fill a void others created. You simply carried yourself in a way that could not be misread by those who truly understood power. That is why underestimation for you became an unspoken ally. It gave you freedom to observe, plan, and act without pressure, while everyone else assumed the game was already decided. Staying human in this context means retaining empathy, warmth, and morality, even when others treat you as insignificant. It means responding with discernment, not reaction. It means holding space for truth and integrity in environments designed to bend people into pretension or performance. That combination, humanity plus strategic awareness, is the trait the elite value above almost anything else. Your ability to remain fully yourself while underestimated didn't just protect you, it elevated you. It showed that you could navigate deception, misjudgment, and subtle power plays without losing identity or control. In a world where most people are measured by their reactions, you proved that your quiet steadiness is a rare form of authority, a master key that opens doors others don't even realize exist. Number 6, you refuse to perform morality for applause. Most people think morality is proven by recognition, by compliments, approval, or visible acknowledgement. They perform goodness to be seen, to earn validation, or to feel secure in the eyes of others. You didn't. Your choices weren't about optics or social credit. They were about integrity, about doing what was right, regardless of whether anyone was watching. That alone sets you apart in ways the elite notice instantly. They don't reward those who act for applause. They reward those who act because it's consistent with their internal compass. Every action you took, every line you held, and every decision you made was measured not by how it would appear to others, but by what it revealed about your character. You didn't need to explain yourself, justify your choices, or highlight your sacrifices. You didn't perform morality as a performance. That kind of discipline is rare because it requires extreme self-awareness and confidence. Most people can only maintain virtue when recognition is guaranteed. You maintained it when it wasn't, and that made you a walking proof of reliability, trust, and silent authority. By refusing to perform, you also revealed that your values are unshakable. You showed that your moral framework isn't transactional, pliable, or dependent on context. That's the distinction the elite look for. People who act morally for validation are often unreliable under pressure. They will bend, adjust, or compromise the moment it conflicts with personal gain. You, however, demonstrated a quiet consistency that signals unwavering judgment. That consistency is one of the most valuable forms of currency in environments where stakes are high, scrutiny is constant, and the consequences of miscalculation are severe. Your refusal to perform morality wasn't arrogance, it was mastery. It was a demonstration that your power and trustworthiness come from who you are internally, not from how you're perceived externally. In a world filled with performative gestures, you became a rare presence, a person whose character is visible in action alone, untainted by the need for applause, and unshakable even when no one else notices. That silent integrity handed you a kind of invisible authority, a key that opens doors without anyone realizing it's being used. Number 7, you didn't exploit moments of advantage. Opportunities to take quick wins or assert dominance appear constantly, and most people leap at them. They see a moment of weakness, a gap in judgment, or a chance to climb faster, and they strike immediately. often carelessly, often leaving chaos in their wake. You didn't. When the scales briefly tipped in your favor, when you had leverage that could have been used for self-interest or to punish others, you held back. That restraint wasn't hesitation or fear. It was a conscious decision, a quiet demonstration of strategic intelligence. The elite notice these moments. They see who can act with patience, not impulse, and they recognize that self-restraint under opportunity is a sign of mastery, not meekness. By refusing to exploit advantage, you revealed a deeper understanding of influence and power. You showed that control doesn't come from seizing every opening. It comes from choosing when to act and when to wait. You demonstrated that leverage is a tool, not a weapon, and that wielding it recklessly is a mark of inexperience. That ability to delay gratification, to resist the urge to capitalize on immediate gain, signals someone who can navigate complex systems without destabilizing them. It shows foresight, judgment, and an internal compass that prioritizes long-term strategy over short-term wins. Every situation where others expected you to strike, manipulate, or take credit became a subtle test. Your choice to act or not act with intention sent a clear message. You are not reactive. You are deliberate. You are capable of holding power responsibly without allowing temporary advantage to corrupt judgment or compromise ethics. That restraint also builds silent credibility. People begin to trust you, even when they don't fully understand why, because they sense that your actions are grounded in foresight and integrity rather than opportunism or ego. You didn't just resist exploiting advantage. You transformed it into proof of discipline and intelligence. Your behavior demonstrated that true power isn't measured by how quickly you seize opportunity, but by how wisely you navigate it. That rare combination of patience, restraint, and awareness became an invisible signature of authority, quietly marking you as someone who could be trusted with influence far beyond what others could imagine. Number 8, you absorbed tension without leaking chaos. Most people can't handle tension without leaving a trail of disruption behind them. When stress rises, when stakes are high, or when subtle pressure is applied, emotions spill over, anger, fear, impatience, or frustration leaks out, and suddenly the environment mirrors the internal chaos. You didn't do that. You absorbed tension quietly, internally processing what others couldn't, without letting it affect your behavior, your decisions, or your presence. That ability isn't just rare, it's invisible power, and the elite recognize it immediately. Every high-pressure situation, every moment designed to provoke, became an opportunity to demonstrate this rare skill. While others reacted impulsively or projected instability, you remained a constant anchor. People assumed tension would make you falter, make you defensive, or make you vulnerable. Instead, you processed it, contained it, and moved forward with precision. That containment didn't mean passivity, it meant mastery. You were able to read the room, understand the dynamics, and make decisions without allowing stress to distort judgment or relationships. That kind of presence is magnetic because it signals reliability and calm intelligence, two traits that cannot be faked. Absorbing tension without leaking chaos also sends a subtle message about resilience and self-control. It tells the elite that you can handle situations where outcomes matter, where stakes are high, and where a single misstep could cause ripple effects. They notice how you navigate discomfort while maintaining clarity, how you can carry responsibility without letting it consume you, and how you can observe patterns without being pulled into emotional turbulence. That ability to remain steady under pressure is what separates people who survive systems from those who thrive within them. Your composure under tension didn't just protect you, it elevated you. It became proof that you could handle influence, responsibility, and authority without introducing instability into the environment. By holding your center while others were unraveling, you became the quiet force that others unconsciously relied on, a presence that commands trust and attention without a word. That rare skill turned what most see as stress into your invisible advantage, a master key that the elite recognize but few ever possess. Number 9, you didn't confuse access with intimacy. Most people mistake attention, proximity, or visibility for connection. They assume that because someone is near, listening, or even sharing information with them, a bond has been formed. You didn't fall into that trap. You understood the difference between being seen and being understood, between being present in someone's sphere and being genuinely known. That distinction is subtle, but in elite circles, it is everything. They noticed immediately that while you could navigate relationships with warmth and approachability, you never compromised your autonomy or overexposed yourself emotionally. That balance is rare, and it's exactly what separates those who are manipulable from those who are untouchable. Every interaction became a measure of your self-awareness. You engaged with others without over-investing. You listened without surrendering your stance. You offered perspective without demanding alignment. That allowed you to operate effectively in networks where information, influence, and impression are constantly monitored. People who confuse access with intimacy often make two mistakes. They overshare, giving away leverage, or they misinterpret gestures, assuming loyalty or understanding where none exists. You avoided both. By keeping your distance emotionally while remaining engaged socially, you demonstrated control over perception, interaction, and consequence. That control also signals psychological strength. It shows that you can connect without being consumed, that you can read others without losing yourself, and that you can participate without being drawn into unnecessary drama or manipulation. You didn't rely on proximity to validate your influence. Instead, you allowed your consistency, discernment, and subtle presence to create trust naturally. This kind of awareness allows the elite to see you as reliable, strategic, and resilient, someone whose influence is earned, not assumed. By not confusing access with intimacy, you maintained your power while others revealed theirs prematurely. You became approachable yet untouchable, present yet autonomous, engaged yet unmanipulable. That invisible skill gave you a rare advantage, the ability to navigate complex social systems without surrendering leverage, a trait that few even recognize, but the elite reward every time. Your awareness of this boundary quietly marked you as someone prepared for influence far beyond the ordinary. Number 10, your kindness had consistency, not mood swings. Kindness is often measured by emotion, and most people let it fluctuate depending on circumstance. They are warm when life is easy, patient when it suits them, and generous when it benefits them. But the elite notice a different kind of kindness, the kind that doesn't waver with conditions, the kind that remains steady when things are difficult, inconvenient, or unfair. Your kindness wasn't conditional. It didn't rise and fall with your mood or the actions of others. It was consistent, disciplined, and reliable, and that consistency is more valuable than most people realize. Every encounter you had, every subtle interaction, was being observed for patterns. People can fake kindness, but it slips when the stakes are high or when stress appears. You didn't falter. You didn't let irritation, frustration, or fatigue dictate how you treated others. That quiet consistency sent a signal: you can be trusted. You are not volatile. You are not performing for approval. You are grounded in a way that others are not, and that is exactly the trait the elite value. They want to know who can handle pressure, maintain composure, and operate with reliability regardless of circumstance. Consistency in kindness is a form of power. It shapes perception without manipulation. It builds trust without words. People begin to rely on you because they know what to expect. That predictability isn't weakness, it's discipline. It signals emotional intelligence, resilience, and self-mastery. In environments where volatility can destroy relationships, influence, or opportunities, the ability to remain consistently kind becomes a rare and measurable asset. By maintaining steady kindness, you revealed a deeper strength, the ability to navigate complexity without being consumed by emotion. You didn't need recognition, applause, or validation to maintain your behavior. You acted from principle, not performance. That discipline quietly distinguished you, marking you as someone whose presence, judgment, and influence could be relied upon in ways most people never achieve. Your kindness became proof of stability, control, and authority, a master key that the elite recognize instantly, but few ever truly possess. Number 11. You didn't flinch when kindness wasn't rewarded. Most people's generosity comes with a quiet expectation of return, whether it's recognition, gratitude, or some form of reciprocation. When it doesn't appear, they feel slighted, frustrated, or even resentful. You didn't. You offered kindness without conditions, without hidden calculations, and without needing anyone to notice or repay it. That alone sets you apart, because it signals a depth of character and emotional autonomy that the elite immediately recognize. They see who gives freely, not for applause, and who can maintain composure when the world doesn't reciprocate. Every act of kindness you displayed became a silent measurement of strength. When ignored, overlooked, or even taken advantage of, you didn't shrink or react impulsively. You didn't recalibrate your behavior to manipulate responses or to teach someone a lesson. You stayed consistent, steady, and composed. That quiet self-assurance communicates a truth most people don't understand. Your actions are rooted in principle, not in the validation of others. And in high-level environments, that is more valuable than any visible achievement or overt display of skill. Refusing to flinch when kindness isn't rewarded also demonstrates patience and long-term perspective. It shows that you can operate without immediate gratification, without being swayed by external acknowledgement, and without letting disappointment compromise your integrity. That capacity allows you to navigate systems where power, influence, and trust aren't instantaneous. They are earned over time and tested in silence. By remaining unwavering, you prove that your values are durable, that your presence is stable, and that your influence doesn't depend on external reinforcement. This rare ability sends a powerful signal. You are reliable, grounded, and emotionally sovereign. Others may bend or break under the weight of unmet expectations, but you operate from a place of control and principle. That makes your kindness strategic, not transactional. It transforms it from a simple act into a demonstration of authority, insight, and invisible power. By showing that you could give without expecting anything in return and survive unshaken, you revealed a form of mastery that the elite notice immediately and quietly reward. Number 12. You resisted the urge to self-explain. Most people have an instinct to justify themselves, to explain actions, or to clarify intentions, especially when misunderstood or challenged. They feel the need to be heard, to be seen, or to defend their choices. You didn't. You understood that over-explaining is a form of weakness disguised as transparency. Every time you stayed silent instead of over-clarifying, you demonstrated self-control, confidence, and an understanding that your actions should speak louder than your words. That restraint immediately sets you apart because it signals that you are secure in your own judgment, and the elite notice that kind of quiet authority instinctively. Every situation where someone misread your intentions or misinterpreted your actions became a subtle test. While others would react impulsively, rationalize excessively, or even over-apologize, you held your position without defensive displays. That refusal to self-explain doesn't mean arrogance or indifference, it means mastery of perception and communication. You allowed your behavior and results to define your credibility rather than wasting energy convincing others of your motives. That kind of discipline is rare because it requires patience, confidence, and the ability to tolerate temporary misunderstanding without letting ego interfere. Resisting the urge to self-explain also communicates strength in another invisible way. It shows that you can handle scrutiny without panic, that you understand influence doesn't require constant validation, and that you operate from internal authority rather than external approval. People who feel compelled to explain themselves are often insecure or reactive. Those who don't are measured, strategic, and self-reliant. That subtle signal, the ability to let actions speak and remain unshaken, is exactly the type of behavior the elite reward and quietly track. By staying composed, measured, and unhurried in your explanations, you transformed a natural human impulse into evidence of control and reliability. You became someone whose integrity and judgment are trusted without argument, whose presence commands respect silently, and whose influence is anchored in consistency rather than persuasion. In refusing to justify yourself unnecessarily, you revealed a rare mastery over ego, perception, and power that few can claim and fewer still understand. Number 13. You remained cooperative without surrendering autonomy. Most people struggle to balance collaboration with independence. They either give in too easily, losing themselves in the process, or they insist on control, alienating those around them. You, however, mastered the rare middle ground. You could work with others, adapt to situations, and contribute meaningfully without ever surrendering your sense of self or compromising your principles. That balance is invisible power, and the elite recognize it immediately because it signals someone who can navigate complexity without creating chaos. Every project, interaction, or partnership became a subtle demonstration of this skill. While others overcompensated by conforming or bending to please, you stayed grounded. You could accommodate, adjust, and support without letting yourself be dictated to. That consistency communicates a quiet authority. You are reliable, competent, and flexible, but not malleable. You showed that cooperation is not weakness, it is strategy. You could engage fully with the world while remaining sovereign, a combination few people can achieve and even fewer understand. This ability also signals emotional intelligence and foresight. People who lose autonomy in cooperative environments tend to burn out, make reactive decisions, or accumulate resentment. You avoided all of that. By maintaining your boundaries while remaining fully engaged, you created a space where trust, respect, and efficiency could flourish. You demonstrated that collaboration doesn't require sacrificing standards, and influence doesn't require surrender. That insight is invisible to most, but glaringly obvious to those who understand power dynamics. Remaining cooperative without surrendering autonomy also conveys mastery over self and circumstance. You navigated complex social and professional landscapes with precision, showing that you could work with others without being manipulated, controlled, or undermined. That rare combination of approachability and independence makes you someone whose presence enhances any environment rather than destabilizing it. You became the kind of person people instinctively rely on, cooperative, competent, and capable, while the elite quietly recognize that your influence is anchored in sovereignty, strategy, and invisible authority. Number 14. The master key wasn't given, it was revealed. The truth about power, trust, and influence is that it can't truly be handed over. It isn't something someone else can gift you like a trophy or a certificate. The elite don't give authority. They recognize it. And that recognition happens quietly, invisibly, in the way they observe your actions, your restraint, and your consistency over time. That's exactly what happened with you. Your so-called kindness, patience, and integrity weren't rewarded because they were impressive. They were observed because they revealed your ability to hold and wield influence without letting it corrupt you. You didn't earn a key. You revealed that you already had it. Every decision you made, every moment you remained composed under stress, and every act of restraint became evidence of this hidden authority. The elite watch for people who demonstrate mastery over themselves, who can navigate complexity without reacting impulsively, and who maintain integrity without performance. Most people fail because they seek validation externally. They act as if they need someone to certify their worth. You operated differently. Your behavior was its own certification. By consistently showing that you could be trusted, that you could act strategically, and that you could balance empathy with boundaries, you revealed the kind of authority that cannot be taught, bought, or handed down. This is the subtle genius of the situation. The key was never something external to grab. It was inside you all along, manifesting quietly in your choices, your composure, and your awareness. The elite simply noticed it. That's why your restraint, discernment, and consistent moral and emotional intelligence became more than traits. They became proof. Proof that you could operate in spaces where power is fluid, influence is fragile, and credibility is hard-earned. By recognizing what you already possessed, the elite didn't bestow power. They confirmed it. They revealed that your capacity for influence, judgment, and authority was inherent, and they silently entrusted you with opportunities, access, and respect that most people spend a lifetime chasing. The master key wasn't handed to you because it never needed to be. It was always within you, and your actions simply made it visible to those who could understand its value. Conclusion. Every act, every decision, and every moment of restraint we've explored isn't just a lesson in behavior. It's a blueprint for invisible authority, for silent mastery that the elite recognize but few ever fully comprehend. Your kindness wasn't mere softness. It wasn't a performance for applause, a tool for manipulation, or a temporary mask for convenience. It was measurable. It revealed depth, control, and emotional intelligence in ways that spoke louder than words ever could. You didn't weaponize your pain, you didn't demand entitlement, and you didn't bend under expectation. Instead, you demonstrated patience, resilience, and the rare ability to operate above reactive impulses while staying fully human. From understanding boundaries without sacrificing empathy, to remaining steady under tension, to cooperating without surrendering autonomy, you showcased traits that cannot be faked, taught, or inherited. You consistently chose principle over performance, strategy over impulse, and quiet mastery over superficial validation. Every subtle interaction, every choice to withhold reaction, and every demonstration of consistency became evidence that you could hold power responsibly, influence without manipulation, and operate in environments that test not just skill, but character itself. And that is the ultimate revelation. The master key wasn't given to you. It was revealed. You didn't receive it from anyone because it wasn't theirs to give. It was already inside you, quietly waiting for circumstances, observation, and discipline to uncover it. Every restraint, every silent observation, and every unwavering choice became the mechanism by which your true capacity was revealed, proving to the elite that you possess a kind of authority and presence that transcends ordinary measurement. You are not simply surviving tests. You are embodying the qualities that allow you to navigate, influence, and command respect in ways most people can only aspire to. So take a moment to recognize what this means. Every lesson, every restraint, and every display of character is evidence of your hidden mastery, your unshakable presence, and your silent power. This is the blueprint for influence few ever see, and even fewer ever achieve. If you found these insights powerful and want to continue unlocking this kind of knowledge, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and leave a comment with your thoughts or revelations. Every action you take here keeps you connected to these truths and ensures that your journey of mastery, influence, and recognition continues to grow stronger every day. God bless you.